Welcome, guys, back to the CD podcast. We're here with a legend in the building. We have Mr. Healthy Alternative himself, Mr. Laz. How you doing, man?
Man, awesome. Thank you for having me.
Yes, sir. I really appreciate you for letting us come to your building today. Beautiful house, you know. I could tell you have a wonderful family here. The vibes are always very nice here.
Everybody's up and early here.
Yeah,
like everybody else should be. Not playing around.
Yeah. So, but yeah, so we can just get right into it, man. I remember. Well, we can get into like about you first of all, like where you came from. I saw other podcasts about you already. You know, from Miami, right?
Yeah, born and raised in Miami, 1982. Cuban parents, so basically the whole immigrant journey. You know, my parents came pretty young, but they came from Cuba and moved to White Plains, New York area, and then eventually settled in Miami, where I was born. Mm-hmm. And just born and raised in Miami. Spent my whole life up there, up until the last about, I want to say 14, 15 years now. Mm-hmm. Been in Greenville, but that was home. That's all I really knew, and you know, here I am now in Greenville, South Carolina.
Yes, sir.
Nice.
Yes, sir. For those of you guys that don't know, he's the owner of Tropical Grille. He's the founder. His wife came up with the idea, actually, right? Yeah. On some pregnancy cravings. Because I saw an interview about, you know, your story and everything you were saying, and that's why, honestly, like, that was such a good image of what it was. It was, I mean, like, when I was watching, I was like, holy, I mean, the story was crazy. Very top, rock bottom. Top again, you know, so those of you that really want to get deep into his story, go watch that. I'll try to link it on the video.
One thing I did take a lot from it was whenever I speak with other successful business owners here in Greenville, or even on like other podcasts or YouTube channels, they always dedicate a lot of their success to hard work and discipline. And although, I mean, obviously you have hard work and discipline, the thing I found different about you is you dedicate a lot of your success to your faith in Jesus Christ, which is crazy because like, in business, I've seen a lot where people steer away from it and they cut everything off and focus just on the business. Yeah. Or they forget about their family, forget about what their faith is, and just focus on business, money. But it seems like you didn't let that go.
What kind of got you like? Did your parents bring you up like that?
No, not at all. I mean, literally, where I came to faith was literally one day I just stayed home from school and I'm flipping around channels. We didn't grow up in church. We were really never really spoken to about God a whole lot growing up. Mm-hmm. And I'm flipping around channels, and I stopped on, I think it was the Christian Broadcasting Network, CB or something like that. But I stopped, and this thing got my attention for some reason. I was just home, probably 14 years old, and I stopped, and I listened to this guy give a sermon, and it just got me, man. It got me, it hit me deep, and I really felt God for the first time in my life, and it was completely unexpected. It was nothing that was put into me as a kid at all. And from that day forward, something in me changed. You know, I always had that conscious of there was something bigger that we had to be responsible to and grateful for. And from that moment on, my entire life changed, man. My entire life changed. And not to say that, you know, everything changed like in a great way, man. We lived in a tough situation. We grew up in a tough environment. So you were still vulnerable and susceptible to all the things that life throws at you, but from a conscious level, I always knew that there was a God. From there on forward, I knew there was a God. I knew there was a creator. And I started to kind of learn more of God's character. Little by little, it took years to really understand, and even challenging my own faith throughout that time and saying, is this all just a hoax? Is it a money grab? You know, what really is it? Because you see these guys on TV, and some of them are out there just for the wrong reasons. And you know, in your search to find God and understand who He is, you're going to run into some frauds along the way that discourage you and make you kind of second guess and question, you know, what is this all about? But I always go back to that experience, right? Because it really wasn't the pastor. It's irrelevant who the guy giving the message was. That's not what got me, right? What got me was the feeling that I felt. You know, it was completely, man, it was something that just took over me. I felt it. It was physical. And it was something that I would never forget.
Yeah, I actually relate a lot to that because I know he can vouch. I used to be like you, where like my parents really didn't force that on me, so I kind of got through what I wanted. And over time, just all my friends started kind of pushing that on me. He's probably the main one right there, pushing that on me. Literally late night talks, 3 a.m. in the car. He's talking to me about that, and you know, I'm learning more about it. But until you get that feeling, which when I got that feeling, you know, It's crazy. And then from then you start opening your eyes and like the little things that start happening start making sense, and you know that he's the reason that this is happening. So
No
that's
doubt
awesome.
about it.
That's awesome.
It's a personal thing. Like everybody, like you could know the things, you could know the facts, you could read the book, but until you have like a personal relationship with God, that's like, I think that's like the separation between like us and other people.
Absolutely. Yeah. That personal experience. Yeah. That's truly what sets it aside, no doubt about it. I mean, you asked about, just how we came to it, right, or how I came to it, but it was, again, it wasn't anything forced, and it was something that, when I give credit in success to God, it's not out of a cliche. It's not because I feel like it's the right thing to say. It's literally what it is. There's no one in the world that can convince me otherwise, right? Because I walked those steps, right? I had to go through this journey, and I didn't do it alone, because if I did it alone, there's zero chance I would have made it. Because, I mean, there's things that happen throughout the journey that, it just pointed to God in such a big way that there was zero chance that I could have ever taken credit for any of it. I don't take credit for any of it. I still really don't understand why he even chose to bless us the way he did. And I know there's things he's doing with us and through us. And even then, I mean, there's always like a sense of responsibility that we got to continue to do more and keep our focus on why, why. And I always ask myself why. And I always want to try to be a good steward of it. But, in my business, it's a 90% failure rate in the restaurant business. It's a very, very tough business. Yeah. I started off unemployed, okay? Unemployed. We now employ over 1,000 people, okay? Yeah. I was literally unemployed. I was on food stamps for the first time in my life, in my adult life. I grew up on food stamps as a kid. My mom was a single mother on welfare. My dad got him involved in things in life that put him on a different path, and luckily he was able to overcome that. But we grew up in a very tough environment. So just to be able to see the journey, understand, all right, I'm unemployed, I'm on food stamps, I'm starting a business. Obviously, I didn't plan it that way. I had income coming in at the time when I decided to jump into this journey, but God threw a complete 360 at me. He said, "Nah. This is how we're going to do this. And you're going to be unemployed. You're going to be on food stamps. You're going to be on the bottom. And the only one that's going to get you out of there is me." And that's literally what happened, man. Because how do you go from 90% failure rate? And that's if you have capital, you have a great business plan. We had none of it. We were literally brand new at this. I had knowledge of the restaurant business, and I had the willingness to work extremely, extremely hard. But, the number one thing I had God. Without that, there was zero chance we make it off the ground. I mean, just zero chance.
Yeah. What do you think? Because when you were at the bottom, food stamps, you have a whole family, you have a wife, kids. Yeah. How did that? Because I saw when you had to admit to your wife that you feel like you messed up and you were almost about to go back to Florida. Mm-hmm. How was that? Because I've never, you can experience some lows, but that's very low, especially from like being at a good career in Florida and moving down here. Yeah. How was that mindset? Like what point? Because I'm sure you were very mentally just messed up because of that. How do you think? I mean, how was that? Like being in that mindset, and how did you overcome that?
First, I think having a great woman by my side. My wife and I, we were kids. She was 16 years old. I was just turning 18 years old. I mean, we were literally kids. And coming through a lot of the same struggles in life and with a lot of ambition. And we got married. Literally 3 months after we got married, she gets pregnant. So we're kids having kids, So for me, growing up with very little and having very, very difficult times as a kid, some good times, some worse, some in between, a little bit of everything. But for me as a dad, I always said I'm going to make sure that my kids have everything they need. Not more, it doesn't have to be extravagant. That was never my goal. My goal was for them to really never know what it is to be hungry, never have to, go through life with, there was times we had shoes that had holes in them, and if it rained, you were getting your feet wet. It was just what it was in life. That was just normal for us. But for me, I never wanted my kids to experience that. I never wanted them to, be in a home where the light bill wasn't paid and all of a sudden your light gets turned off in the middle of the day and, you got to figure out where you're going to go. Are you going to go to somebody's house? Is it going to get figured out? Is it not? All those worries that you have growing up as a kid, growing up in that environment, it's I wanted to make sure my kids never experienced that. So it got real for me when, it was the little things, right? we have a foreclosure on our door. Okay, we have 2 cars that get repoed. Like it's all caving in. It's all happening. And then what really the day that I was at my breaking point was it was around Christmas time, man. And I'll never forget this. To this day, it still gets me because it's something where I hurt more than anybody else. So really, if you look at it, my wife was strong. My kids were good. They weren't worried about it. They weren't putting pressure on me as a dad. But there was nothing under the Christmas tree, you know. And they still have these. They don't know what's going on, you know. So they have these. Oh, I want this and I want that, and they're seeing commercials and oh, I want that, Dad. And Dad knows that he can't get it. He can't do it. So that's when I told my wife. I said, man, listen, I messed up. I made a mistake. I brought us here, and I really made a mistake. And it's time for us to go back. I'll get my job back. And, you know, I make one phone call. Henry Delgado, I make a phone call, and that guy would have had my job back in Smith & Wolinski's in a second. A guy that huge mentor for me. I mean, somebody that I look up to and love. And I could have made that phone call. But my wife looked at me and she said, listen, no. She said, you told me that God brought us here for a reason. And I want to see that thing through. I know this is not what he had in mind for us. And I know that he has a plan. And she told me straight up, she goes, I don't care if we go under the bridge together. We're going to do it together as a family. And we're going to be all right. And when she said that, man, it just gave me the energy and the strength and the faith that I needed to keep pushing forward.
Wow. That's a story.
Respect that.
That's a story.
So
Jeez.
I worked in the restaurant business for like 4 weeks, and it was hard. I gave up. I gave up. So I definitely respect you for that. But you said in whenever, okay, so how old were you whenever you came across that channel that showed you about the...
Yeah, it was TBN, and I was 14 years old.
14, okay.
Yeah.
Whenever you were 14, where were you already like setting your life to go? Were you trying to go to the restaurant business already, or?
No. At that age, I really wanted to be a police officer. That's the only thing I ever imagined doing, right? And a lot of that was also based on experiences growing up, right? For me, I grew up in a rough part of town, and police really weren't that nice. You know? They really weren't. I didn't have the love that I have for police nowadays and understanding of their job and what they do and the sacrifices that those guys make. At the time, they were the bad guys for me.
Yeah.
I mean, they really were. It's just what it was. If you were, I'll give you a story. I used to go get a haircut. I used to drive my bike to go get a haircut from, for people that do know Miami, I lived in kind of almost the Coral Gables area, but not quite. If I say Coral Gables, it sounds nice. It wasn't Coral Gables, but I had to drive through the suburbs of Coral Gables to go get a haircut in Westchester, right? I had 2 choices, right? I could either go through a gang-riddled neighborhood, do a detour that way, or I could drive through Coral Gables. Coral Gables is like the fanciest, some of the fanciest neighborhoods, a lot of wealth, and excuse me. When I drove through Coral Gables, it was almost a given that I was going to get stopped by police. Almost guaranteed. Somebody was going to call the cops. Who's this kid driving his bike through Coral Gables? And I would literally be stopped. And I was told, look, you don't belong here. Get out of here. If we catch you here again, we're going to arrest you for no reason at all. I mean, I was a 14, 15-year-old kid riding a bike to go get a haircut. I had to bike probably 10 miles to go get my haircut. And I did that every Friday. And for me, it was either deal with those cops or take a detour and go through the gang-infested neighborhoods. And that's the choice I ended up making 9 times out of 10 because I'd rather deal with the gangs, possibly get jumped, get my bike stolen, all that kind of stuff, versus dealing with the police because those guys they just weren't kind to us. It was more of a socioeconomic racism, if you would, because it really wasn't based on my race because a lot of the people that were stopping me were other Cuban cops, you know, so it wasn't necessarily a race issue, it was a socioeconomic issue. So for me, the desire to become a police officer was to really understand people that came from where I came from and kind of be a mentor towards them and let them know that, hey, you know, use that position to kind of help in a way, if you would, you know, so that's what I want to be.
So you experienced discrimination, which doesn't surprise me, especially probably back then more. After you became successful, did you see a change in that where people stopped looking at you for maybe your skin color or where you're from? Yeah. Just because of kind of the status you have, you know, now? Yeah,
in some ways, right? You get into certain rooms now, otherwise you wouldn't have. And I don't know that it would have necessarily been for race. I don't think that maybe would have been the case. I think Greenville has changed a lot.
Yeah.
In the 15 years I've been here, you see a lot more diversity.
Yeah.
And you walk into certain rooms that you didn't see even 15 years ago. I can't imagine 20, 25. But people have always been kind. I would say that. But definitely as we've gotten success, you walk into certain rooms and it's really about who you know at this point. So an example would be you get invited to an event with a bank. I still have a certain look about me, you know. I don't know that people are necessarily being racist towards me, but there are certain stereotypes that maybe I give off, you know, with the tattoos and just the way I look.
Well, chill guy.
Which is, it's me.
Exactly.
You know? It's me. You get to know people and then you realize who they are. You shouldn't judge people based on what you see appearance-wise. But I see a huge difference when you first walk in a room and people are kind of looking at you like, you know, who's this guy, who's this girl? And then, you know, the bank president, you know, the vice president comes out, gives you a hug, and then all of a sudden everybody's mood changes and everybody wants to know who you are. And, you know, that kind of thing is kind of still kind of weird to me.
I bet. Yeah, I wouldn't like that.
Yeah. So I'm not about that. Yeah.
Do you feel like in business, do you feel like you get, do you see racism a lot? Like, do you feel like your opportunities are a lot less than, let's say, like a Caucasian person?
I think the initial opportunity is probably harder for us to get in the door. But I think once we're in the door, I think things have changed a bit in these last few years. I think it was a lot harder, and I think there's definitely something to say for the journey for Hispanics and for blacks up until this point, and still in a lot of ways it does happen. I can't say for me that it's happened recently. I can't think of a specific situation where I felt that. Yeah. But I'd be ignorant to think that it's not still happening. It's not still very real. Right. I think the initial walking in the door and getting there, I think it's still real, especially depending on what sector you're getting into. You know, we carved a path that was really on us. But, you know, if I was to say that racism hold me back, you know, 90% of my customers are white, you know, so that would be wrong for me to say, because a lot of times it's the minority that leaves a big impression on us of the people who are racist, and it's really the minority. But these people, when you experience something, when you experience a situation of racism, it's so magnified in your mind because it's real and it hurts and it bothers you and you get upset. But if you really take that focus and think about all the positive out there, you know, you just keep moving forward. You know, not to say it won't bother you, not to say you're not going to be upset at that moment. I've experienced it, you know, walking into a Home Depot one day. I had 3 guys that literally told me to take, I don't know what kind of words I can use on here, but
no, whatever you want, whatever you want, whatever. Yeah.
It's a quote. It's a quote.
You know, take your ass back to your country. You know, like,
wow.
Dang. Like, what country would that be? Because I'm here. Right here. Okay. I mean, you know, so, you know, obviously in that moment, your instincts kind of take over, which it was cool. It was a real cool, interesting situation, right? Because you got 3 guys. They were like skinhead looking dudes. They were in a truck and they said all kinds of other things to me. Again, at the end of the day, a man's gonna be a man, you know. So I'm like, oh really? Jump out the car. Let's go. All 3 of y'all. Come on. I literally said, I'll fight all 3 of y'all. If you guys are tough, get out the car right now. And there was a guy behind me, and this is just how life works. It shows you that, yeah, there's gonna be those people, right? But there's also gonna be other people that are gonna make up for these people in the world, the minority, I call them. But I said, it's 3-on-1, let's go right now, jump out the car. And there was a guy behind me, and they pulled off, they said some crap or whatever, they left, and the guy was right behind me. I had no idea he was there. He goes, hey, let me tell you something. It wasn't going to be a 3-on-1. I said, what do you mean? He goes, it was going to be me and you against those 3 guys. And he was another white guy, you know, and he was ready to go in with me, you know. So I was like, you know what?
On business.
That's dope.
Staying on business.
You know, so I choose to look at situations like that and say, you know what? Yeah, there's going to be those people. Look, there was a guy right there who was really willing to go to war, never met me in his life. And just on principle, he was in the
I like that.
That shows you that there's that side.
There is, man. There is. There's a lot of good in this world. There's some bad, but there's a lot of good.
Now, if you don't got principles, morals, like just stuff you hold sacred, like what do you have then?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
Wow.
100%.
All right, I wanted to ask you something. So, because this is something I struggle with. I saw that your wife signed the lease for the first Tropical Grille location you had, right? Yes. And and you seem like when you took the guy took you to go look at it and all that, you were like hesitant. Like, you know, he kind of had to push you. He's like, I got $30,000 for you. Do you think without those people almost leaving you no choice but to make the decision, you think you would have made that decision?
Zero chance.
Yeah. Because I struggle with that. I feel like a lot of people struggle with that, where you probably should do something and you don't do it. And yeah, a lot of time God almost puts it so you have no choice.
Yeah.
And that's how it goes. But how would you say you could, because I'm sure you've changed now more, where you're probably more about it. And how would you say you could change that mindset when it comes to doing what? Because, you know, I like the saying, I know you know this, just for fun, right? Like, you know, just do it just for fun. You never know what's going to happen. So how would you say you could change your mindset from being so hesitant and making decisions and just jumping into it and saying it, you know, whatever happens, happens?
So going back to that time, right? I've always been very conservative in a lot of ways and very calculated, and it all went back to fear. Mm-hmm. You know, and this is something I learned later on. You know, what was the driving force behind my hesitation on everything? It was all fear-based. Yeah. Honestly, it was strictly fear-based. Fear of putting my kids in that spot that I grew up in. Yeah. That's number one. You never lose the things of your childhood. They're always back there. But really, even those things, I mean, those are the things that empower you later on in life. Those are the things that drive you and force and behind you that make you push, right? But they can also be a hindrance, right? So for me, it was in a lot of ways, it was a hindrance. I was comfortable where I was, you know? Yes, I had ambition. Yes, I wanted to do these things. But to be 100% honest with you, I didn't have the guts to do it because I was afraid of failing. I was afraid of taking the step back to and putting my kids in a tough position. But the interesting thing about my wife is that, you know, we left great jobs. I mean, life was good, man. We weren't chasing anything more. You know, we were happy in life. You know, Miami is forever going to be a special place for me. I love Miami. We go there all the time. We go at least once a month, and we go out there and we have dinner. We go party. We do whatever. Still have great times out there. But for her, she was leaving her family, right? So I had to convince her to leave her family for something that God literally put in my heart. It was 100% undoubtedly God, right? And we make this journey. And when I met my wife, you know, you got to go back. She was a child, man. She was 16 years old. I was a kid too, you know. A lot of what I experienced at 14 coming to faith, you know, she really didn't have any of that growing up either. She didn't grow up in a home with faith and anybody, you know, necessarily talking to her about God. So in a lot of ways, that was me, right? So I'm the guy constantly pushing faith. Man, little did I know that at that point in our life when I'm waving the white flag, you know, and this was after, I know I'm getting a little ahead, but, you know, this girl somewhere along her journey had developed a faith like rocks. So, man, I'm telling you, her faith, if I had her faith, man, I'm telling you, because she has a special relationship with God, and her faith is so strong. And in that moment, that's what got her to it, right? She said, what do we got to lose? We're going. And she signed that thing, man. She didn't even give me a chance to think about it. And she knows me. She knows me. She knows I would have came up with 100 reasons why not to do it. Yeah. And I did. I was giving her all the statistics. I was writing down numbers. I was crunching numbers. And we have to sell this many bowls to pay the rent. How are we going to pay the rent? You know, all this and all that. And that girl's like, it's already signed. We're in. Right. Like,
so you're kind of just forced to adapt. Yeah. You're forced to adapt. Just make it work. Make it work, right?
Make it work.
Yeah.
Make it work.
But then you moved to Greenville on a decision like that, where you kind of said, you know, let's just do it. You quit your job without even telling her.
It was a calculated risk, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Because, you know, that was, it was a risk, but, you know, I'm in the restaurant business. I'm going to find a job, man. I'm going to find a job. There's no doubt I'm going to find a job. I'm going to find a job the day I get there. I can start working, and I did.
And then the guy told you, you know, whatever happens, you could come back to me. So you kind of had a little backup. Exactly.
I held on to that, and I tell him all the time. I see him. I'm blessed to talk to him and see him every once in a while. And he saw the last podcast. He's not a social media guy. Mm-hmm. He stays away from all that stuff. He's one of the hardest working, man. I mean, just a phenomenal human being and someone that I learned so much about. And one day he sends me a message. He's like, man, I saw your podcast, and you know, I don't even know how he got somebody send it to him or something because I mentioned him, and it touched his heart because he says, man, one of my guys made it, and he goes to him, he said that's the most success that he can have in his life was just seeing someone that meant
And you
something
gave
to
him credit too, so I'm sure that
without a
that
doubt.
makes him feel great.
Without a doubt, yeah. It's just the reality, you know.
Yeah, that's awesome.
For sure.
That's awesome.
I got a. Oh, sorry.
No, you go. Because
Okay. Yeah, no, it's like that George Janko on that like Shaq podcast. He's just like, why are you not saying anything? So you grew up, from my understanding, just like on the lower level, you know, just so it gave you. I would assume it gave you some type of hunger to succeed. So now that like you've made it and you have your family, how do you? I mean, I don't know the work ethic of your kids, but how do you like implement that same or similar hunger to them, that they, you know, make it for themselves, or like to grind, I guess?
That's a challenge, right? Like for my oldest, for Maddie, she saw a little more of it because of her age. She was able to kind of see some of the struggles in that moment. Prior to, we did enough. I worked 3 jobs, and just they always had enough and would never know where they were living, or, you know, they lived good. We did a good job early on to make sure that they had everything they needed. But it's really like, honestly, it's having the discipline to say no sometimes, just because, you know, that's important as a parent. And that's something that me and my wife argued with a lot, because, you know, she wants to give them everything. And I understand her heart. I understand why. But for me, you know, I sit back and I say, hey, they got to hear no sometimes, because the world's going to tell them no all the time. So they have to hear no. So I've conditioned them to really be told no. And then it's not just a no because no, it's a no because this is what you need to do now. You want that? This is what you need to do. So, you know, my kids at 15, I tell them happy birthday, and I said, here's your schedule, you know, so get in and get to work. So, and I've been criticized on that. People, even within, you know, friends and family, I've heard comments of, oh, why do you make your kids work? Are you kidding me? I mean, they need to know. They need to know how to go get it. And, you know, in seeing my daughter start her business, right, I've seen that those lessons are paying off, man, like tenfold, because I've seen the hustle in her. I can't even tell you how proud I am of that girl, man, because, like, yeah, we helped her, and people are going to look at her and say, oh, yeah, she got a hand. First of all, listen, at the end of the day, that's what all of us want to be able to do for our kids one day. Give them a hand, be in the position, and give them, not make them have to go through the struggles that we went through, right? So, yeah, we were able to give her a hand, but we gave her a hand and we handed it off. And we said, this is you now. You know, you got to go out there and you got to get it and you got to feel it. And when the people call out or, you know, there's something exciting that she wants to go do, and the reality of owning a business kicks in, and now you got to cancel all your plans and get to work, you know, I love those moments. Yeah, I love them, because I sit back and I watch. I said, let's see what she's made of. Let's see how she's going to react. And those no's and kind of pushing them and making them earn their way has pretty much set her up to be a go-getter. And that girl is truly, like I said, I couldn't be more proud of her. I'm seeing the fruit of that, you know, happen in her life. And she's becoming a very, very strong entrepreneur, business owner. I mean, so we're seeing it pay off.
That's beautiful.
On
it's
those,
like, you want to?
No, okay.
Sorry. So it's like you kind of live by like, or I don't want to say you live by it, but like what it makes me think of is how, like, you know, you give a man a fish, you know, he eats for a day, but you teach him how to fish, you know, he could take care of himself. So it looks like that's what you've been doing. You've been implementing that, like, I'm going to teach you, I'm going to help you, but, you know, I'm doing that for your success.
Absolutely. Crucial.
Yeah. That's good. I love
On that same topic, because pretty sure your oldest didn't go to college, right?
Nope.
Just kind of jumped into the business world.
Yep.
That's a very controversial thing with parents, right? Clearly, you don't necessarily push for that, right? Because there's other ways, right? So
100%.
what's your stand on that?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a individual choice for sure. I think, like, every parent should kind of look at their child, see what some of their goals are, and be a good guide, a good mentor into what can push them in the right direction and get there, right? So my middle daughter, Addison, she wants to be an orthodontist. There's only one road to get to an orthodontist, right? So with her, we've pushed her very, very hard at school. You got to go get it. You got to get the grades. And even then, yeah, we're gonna help you get there, but it's on you. If you want to be an orthodontist, we started telling her very young, because she had her mindset on this since she was probably 14, 13 years old, that you got to earn it. You got to go. You got to get the grades. You got to earn your way in. You got to get accepted, okay? So we knew with her that was her path. With Maddie, we kind of asked the questions and see, and we always knew she did great in school, but it wasn't her thing. She didn't like it. So, at one point she felt the pressure at school. Everybody, well, you have to go to college. You have to go to college. I mean, bro, are you crazy? Are you really thinking about not going to college? Well, I mean, if I go to college, I really just want to go and get a business degree, which is cool. For some people that works, and some people need it. And I'm sitting here looking at her and I'm saying, like, dude, business degree, like, you have it right here in your home. We're going to give you the degree. You're not get a piece of paper from a school, but between your mom and your dad, I mean, we have enough knowledge to help you understand and set you along the tracks to achieve being a successful business person. And, she was adamant about not going to college, and we said, well, a lot of the lessons, even at her working at Tropical, we were already preparing her for her own route, in business, where we knew eventually she would go.
Yeah, because she's been there since, like, I think you said since she was 9 years old. She was at the register.
9 years old. She saved me. Our first rush ever at Tropical Grille, this little girl, she was younger than 9, man. That's crazy. I mean, she took over our register and saved me. Yeah. I mean, without her there that day, I wouldn't have been able to serve the guests.
That story touched me, and then your wife walks in. It's the first time the dining room's full. Man, I couldn't imagine that. For being that low, I couldn't imagine.
Oh, man. Yeah.
You hit the jackpot. Like, finally, this is what we've been waiting for.
Man, you're like, all right, we might actually be able to pay a bill.
Since you didn't go to college either, right?
No.
Okay, so how did you learn all the finances? Because if you're in the restaurant, you're not bookkeeping. You're not you're not talking to customers most of the time. You're either prepping or cleaning, right?
Yeah. The customer side of things, I've been in the restaurant business since I was 14 years old. I started off in the kitchen. I was sort of an introvert, so it was my comfort zone was in the kitchen. Started off as a dishwasher, and I harassed the chef enough to where he started kind of teaching me. I would ask him so many questions. The guy was finally like, do you really want to learn this? He's all right, go cut 300 pounds of carrots. I'm like, carrots? What am I doing cutting carrots, man? Like, I want to be a chef. I don't want. And I was too young to understand what he was doing. And I would sit there and I would cut up a huge box of carrots, and then he'd get them on, throw them away because they weren't perfect. And
like Mr. Miyagi.
Yeah.
Wax on.
Yeah, I'm grateful for that guy, man, because he literally taught me things. He taught me that it had to be perfect. It had to be done right. You had to take pride in what you did. And if it wasn't perfect, man, that thing was going in the garbage, start all over. And he was preparing me. He was teaching me knife skills. I didn't even have a clue what he was doing at the time, but he was teaching me knife skills. I fell in love with the kitchen. I eventually took over that kitchen. And at some point or another, I knew that I would have to learn the front of house, right? If I was going to be well-rounded, I would have to get outside my comfort zone. I would have to get out there and start interacting with guests on a different level, which was something that I wasn't my favorite thing to do at the time. It turns out now that's my absolute favorite thing. The reason why I ultimately fell in love with the restaurant business was the people. So, I got out there and started getting outside my comfort zone, learning the front of house, eventually the front of house management. So now I have back of house experience, I have front of house experience, so I'm starting to kind of become a little more well-rounded. And, throughout the years from 14 on until I opened my own business, that was my college, so I got a chance to see the ins and outs. But eventually when you become a business owner, now you just stacked a whole lot of more, I call them hats, right. You put on the hats. I had many, many hats to wear, and my wife and I kind of shared those hats in a lot of ways. And there was things that she was better at that she handled, and there was things that I was better at that I handled. But that was our college. That was our learning experience. So even in accounting and things of that nature, literally just recently, and she's a go-getter. That girl right there, she's special, man. She took an accounting class, At this point in the game, she took an accounting class because she wanted to understand our books inside and out. She didn't want to rely on somebody else's knowledge and somebody telling her one thing and her having to kind of second guess and worry about, is this person really telling me what it is or not? She went after it, man. So she did an accounting class, and when I tell you she's got our books locked down, I mean, nothing gets by her.
Wow. That's like DJ Khaled. I saw something he mentioned with that. You would think somebody like him has somebody to take care of every little thing for him. He's like, nah, I take care of the bills. I take care of this. I take care of that. Like, he's on top of everything because you really never know. You could hire somebody, and, like, I think with Steve Harvey, he said.
Love Steve Harvey.
Yeah. Like, he said his accountant wasn't paying his taxes. You imagine something like that happening to you, that could literally drag you all the way down. So
almost lost it all.
Yeah, exactly. So that's awesome. And for her to do that, that's great.
Yeah, for sure.
That's crazy.
Did you already know how to do that stuff before you opened your shop, though?
No.
or your restaurant? Or you didn't know any of that?
No, and I think that's the biggest thing that we can offer anyone, and we do a lot of mentorships. We do everything kind of on the low, man. We really don't do it for any kind of recognition or anything like that, but we do mentor people. We help people start businesses, and these are all things that we had to learn the hard way. So really, the what we learned was, in a lot of ways, was initially how not to do it, right? So in learning how not to do it, you eventually figure out how to do it. And we kind of bumped our heads in a lot of different areas and eventually figured it out, you know, nothing detrimental or anything like that, but enough to be able to take our experiences and tell people, whoa, yeah, that's not what you want to do, because we did that and this happened, so this is how you do it. And we've learned how to do a lot of things in opening businesses. It's just like, you know, like riding a bike. You know?
Do you think that hard way is almost needed to be at the level of success you're at?
I think for us it was. Yeah. I think it definitely was. I think one way or another, when you get into business, there's going to be so many challenges and adversities that you're going to face at one point or another. Things could be, you know, rolling smooth, and then COVID hits. Yeah. You know, and all of a sudden you get thrown a 360 and you're reinventing yourself and trying to figure out how to stay afloat in a completely different world. Yeah. And, you know, so, but I think those times where you bump your head and you're learning and you're getting through challenges, they kind of build you up for
to
those
prepare
moments
for
in
what's
life.
next.
Yeah, you're like, you know what? It's just it's just another day. Just keep moving.
Now, like those little things that might have been big in the beginning, they seem like nothing, right?
Oh my God.
Yeah.
There was a point in my life where if I didn't go through the things I went through, because again, conservative in a lot of ways, very measured in risk and things of that nature. There was a time in my life, had I not gone through all the learning that we did, COVID would have killed me. Yeah. Those type of curveballs to a person like me would have been like, oh my God, I'm not fazed by them anymore. It's literally like, all right, this building just burned down. All right, what do we need to do? Let's go. You know, let's go. Keep moving.
So that shows that, because I know a lot, I'm like that myself. So that shows that you can start being like that, questioning everything. Yeah. But there is a way out. You're not just stuck there, right? Because I think a lot of people struggle with that.
How did you get out of or stay alive during COVID? Because I know so many restaurants didn't.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it was the willingness to do the work, for one, adapt to the needs of the customer, right? So we were kind of in a great position where we were built for speed and convenience. So we were able to kind of just change all our focus to, okay, now we're going to be a heavy to-go business. We're going to hit all the platforms, the Uber Eats and the DoorDashes and all that stuff, and make sure that we're buttoned up there and ready to roll. And we weren't 100% at that moment, but we reacted very, very quickly, and we made sure that all the platforms were perfect. And, you know, the world went completely in that direction for a long time, but we were ready for it. We adapted. We didn't take a second to think. We just action. And something that I'm proud of, with as many restaurants we have 16 right now on the tropical side, was that we never closed one single day, one single hour. And there were so many big chains that were closing. And the closest that we ever came to having to close a store was, I had a call from a manager of our Malden location, and she says, everybody's sick. Everybody has COVID. I'm literally the only one in the door. I'm the only one here. Everybody's out. I don't think we're going to be able to open today. I said, hold up. Give me a second. I got up, woke my wife up, woke my kids up. I said, let's go. We're all going to work. So it was literally the 5 of us and her in that building, and we made it happen. Wow. You know, we went in there and we cooked and we took the register, and nobody questioned it, man. Wow. That was awesome. Wow. Nobody questioned it. Everybody got up immediately. I said, I need you guys. Let's go. And they got up. They didn't, normally kids, you wake them up on a Saturday.
Like, leave me alone.
Yeah. Like, what are you doing? Yeah. Like, even Jay, our youngest, I'm like, yo, I need you. He's like, what do you need me to do? He's always ready. He loves to work. He's like, heck yeah, Dad, let's go. He's all about it. So,
brought you back to your roots.
Yeah.
Because I was just going to ask, like, how, like, now that you're at this level, like, how much in the day-to-day are you involved in with Tropical Grille?
A lot of it. I have a phenomenal team, I mean, for one, but there's a lot of things that, I'm still overseeing. I like to kind of sit back, watch, let these guys kind of make decisions. But while
watch the chessboard?
Yeah. I'm watching it, and then, I put them aside and say, hey, look, this is what we need to do. I know you made this call, but this is the call we need to make. And sometimes you'll let them make the call and bump their heads because they have to learn too. But sometimes certain things, you already went through it, so there's no need. So you'll be like, look, I can't let you do this one because I've done it in the past, and this is the result, and this is what we're gonna do instead. So I kind of have to deviate them, which is never fun to do because you don't want to kill people's motivation, but at the same time,
made the mistake,
you have responsibility.
so you know what to do now.
Exactly. But we have an amazing team. You know, that whole situation, that was that one time that we had to get up and go and do it, but our team did it over and over and over and over again. They were out there running from one store to the next store to the next store, and one day just covering holes and making sure that we never closed. Yeah. So, I mean, we had one day where we had to jump in like that, right, as a family. That's one story, but for those guys, it was every single day they were out there. All right, where's the hole? Let's go get it. Boom, and they would go and they would cover it. And it's because of those guys that we never closed a single day. I mean, honestly. So,
wow.
Yeah.
You said that just the tropical side. You have other restaurants besides.
Yeah. We got we're involved with the Tipsy Tacos as well. We started off with the franchise on Woodruff Road, and then we did a Dunkin' location, and eventually we ended up buying the company.
Oh, cool.
So
wait, you fully own Tipsy Taco?
Yeah,
he needs to talk to Dom. Dom is a fiend for Tipsy Taco.
Really?
Like, you know, we had like Tropical Grill like game days.
Yeah.
But like almost every single time after practice, he's hitting up like, because we had a lineman group chat, some big dudes. So he's like, Tipsy, question mark, Tipsy. You know, he loves it.
Shout out to Dom.
So Tipsy, was it a franchise at first?
Yeah. So basically, you know, we ended up doing a franchise on Woodruff Road. The guys that owned it prior to us, I think they were up to like 6 locations at the time, 5 or 6 locations. And we ended up being, I think, number 6, I want to say. And it was just a franchise. Yeah. You know, we decided to get in. We loved the concept and said, let's franchise this thing and see what happens. And then one of my partners had the crazy idea of buying the whole thing, and he was out of his mind. And we told him he was out of his mind, but, you know, he's one of those people that he gets his mind on something, he's going to try to figure out a way to make it happen, and he really did. He made it happen. And we ended up buying the whole company 10 days before COVID hit.
Wow.
That's crazy.
What a time.
Man, talk about...
Bought it highs.
It's like buying Bitcoin.
The happiest guy in all of Greenville, the happiest people in all of Greenville at that point were the people that sold us that place.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, they skipped all
Bought
that.
Bitcoin at 60K, watch it plummet.
Oh, my God.
But it's still, I bet it's doing great now.
It is. It's been challenging, and we overcame a lot of challenges on that, and you know, it's still overcoming a lot of challenges on that front because we took a company that had a lot of policies and procedures in place and things that, you know, we eventually realized they weren't necessarily being done right, and you know, and we had a lot of fault in that too because we bought it 10 days before COVID, and our focus was strictly on survival. You know, we're trying to make sure that we survive because we were literally at risk of losing it all, very, very quickly. Very, very quickly. So, you know, we were focused on survival, and, you know, there was a lot of things that we learned later on that were not being done right and that we had to fix, and, you know, that we're overcoming still to this day. But, you know, overall, the business is good. We just rolled out a new menu, which is phenomenal. So tell Dom to go check out some
if he already didn't.
Yeah, I take a lot of pride. It just came out Monday, and you know, I helped with a lot of the menu changes, and me and the corporate chef and a couple other team members, we put together some ideas, and I think it's the best menu Tipsy's had.
Wow.
You know, since it's been around.
Wow.
You said you partner with somebody to acquire Tipsy Taco, right? Mm-hmm. How do you find your business partners? Because, I mean, we're in Greenville, and it's not as big as Miami, for example.
Yeah.
So how do you go around and network with the right people in a small town?
A lot of times, man, it's just looking into your circle. At this point, you almost want to work with people that you know and trust and have friendships with. You can reach outside. There's a lot of people looking to invest money. You know, I get people all the time. They want to invest into Tropical, and for me, it's really more about working with people that you like, that you want to work with. It's not really about the money at this point, and I think that's super, super important. That when you align yourself with somebody in business in any sense, I don't care what level it is. When you're thinking about partnerships, you got to be very, very careful who you partner with. And make sure that it's people that you enjoy being around, because you're going to spend time together. You're going to get to know each other on a different level when you're partners. So, you know, it's very important that you align yourself with people that you like.
What do you look for them? And like, where do you find those people? Because like, do you find those like family friends or people that you already know? Like, for example, Mark Zuckerberg finds people, or like when he went to Harvard.
Yeah.
You know, he found his
Did 'em
engineers
dirty.
there. Yeah.
He did him
Yeah,
dirty.
they did him dirty. Yeah, but,
Social
like,
Network movie.
yeah, that was
Be careful who you partner with, right?
that was a great movie. But you know, like,
Man,
stuff like that. People, you know, sometimes they find their co-founders there.
Yeah, you know, early on, it's the reality of business is that unless you have an idea that's just so crazy that nobody else has thought of, that it's just like mind blowing, and you're the guy that thought of it, and you have the way of doing it. Even then, you got to be careful. Will it rip you off? Mm-hmm. Going back to the Zuckerberg thing, right?
Yeah, he was like his co-founder Eduardo.
Right.
Yeah, Wardo. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So the early on, no one's gonna want to participate in your business.
Yeah.
Everybody's gonna think you're crazy. Nobody wants a part of that risk. So really, yeah, you can go out to family and friends and people that have money and shoot their idea, and that's just something crazy that really captures people's attention. Most people are gonna sit back and watch, see what happens, and then you get to the point like with us. Initially, nobody wanted to invest in tropical. Why would you? You know, what is tropical, right? But as your name starts growing, and you're not looking for anybody, man. Everybody's coming to you. Everybody's knocking on your door and wants to spend money or invest money into your company, which is a great thing. But it's also, you got to be careful. You can't get too excited in those moments because there's a lot of people out there that are gonna talk a big game and put you in a terrible spot. So they try to write checks they can't cash, and then all of a sudden you're the front man on it. You're writing the leases. You're doing all this and all that. And turns out that they're not anywhere near in a position, but they kind of sold you a dream. So you gotta
Is that a
very
reference to what you guys were talking about before?
What was that?
No, Josh, no.
It's not.
No. It might have been, but no, we don't need to talk about that.
I mean, I wasn't gonna name drop. That's why I said the reference.
Oh no.
I don't think so.
No. Yeah.
I was gonna ask you. So, it was you mentioned 132 stores. That's what you want.
Yeah. That's still my goal. My goal is still to get up there, and we've had a lot of momentum recently, and we got a lot of stores that we're opening, and it's something that God put in my heart, and I ultimately don't worry or care how it all comes to be.
Yeah.
It may be a combination of Tipsy's Tropicals and now Pasta Project. We're getting ready to launch Pasta Project. So
What's it called?
Pasta Project.
Pasta Project.
Yeah.
Oh,
Is it like create your own pasta?
Oh, that's
I
Stole your idea.
Yes.
no, Olive Garden's off the bat.
I've been waiting for people to make make your own pasta.
Yeah. Super excited about it. I've had this concept written down for years. Going back to my cooking days, my favorite thing to cook is pasta. My kids tell you, no matter what they got going on, if I say I'm cooking pasta, they're dropping anybody. Boyfriends, everybody's getting dropped. They're coming over to eat. So
Priorities.
That's my passion, man. I love cooking Italian, and I've had this concept written down for years, and then it's one of those things like everything, man. Like God ultimately leads you to figure out how to do it, and when's the right time. I could have done it years ago, but for whatever reason, I've held back, and then I end up becoming friends with a guy that owns my favorite Italian restaurant in town, and it's called Basilico. So
Where's that at?
it's near the mall, right behind the mall.
Oh, Basilico, yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah,
yeah,
I saw
By
that
the
place,
T-Mobile
yeah.
and all that back there. Used to be
You're
old
talking
Five
about
Guys.
because I think I know where the T-Mobile is. It's next to the Hispanic restaurant.
Yeah, the Monterey and all that's back
Yeah.
there. Yeah. Right back there in that little back
That road.
area.
Okay.
Yep, that back road. But, I found this place, didn't know the people or anything, but just loved the food, so we became regulars there. And just how I'm built, man, again, I've had this concept written down for probably 10 years, who knows. But I start eating this guy's restaurant, him and his wife, super amazing people, and love their food. We're regulars. We're eating there, once, twice a week. And finally, the opportunity through Maddie's situation where we found her spot, we end up having an opportunity to take a spot there, which I liked. I live in Five Forks, so I'm like, man, there's hardly any food down here. We need something new. We need something fresh. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to do the Pasta Project. Wow. And I tell my wife about it, and she's like, all in, let's go, let's do it, as she always is. And then I get hit with a little bit of conviction and just kind of thoughts in my mind. I'm like, man, I became friends with these people. They do Italian. And in my mind, I'm like, what if they start to think that, I was just kind of scouting their place or something like that. And I'm like, you know what? I told her, I can't do pasta. She's like, what do you mean?
Wow.
I said, I can't, man. I frequent their place. They're great
Noble
people.
man.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people would just be like, it's my idea. It has nothing to do with you. Go
100%,
kick rocks.
And in the business world, there's really, I had no obligation to.
It's free game.
Different. It really is. It really is. And I had my own ideas, my own thing, right? So, but these guys are phenomenal at this too. So you're in a situation where, for me, it's like friendship over business. I'm gonna take the friendship always. So
You got your principles.
yeah, man, you have to.
And I think people kind of that you respect and you like and you kind of vibe with them very well. I almost feel like they would want you to do it. Man. I think that's what would happen with those type of people.
You're so dead on. I can honestly tell you, with these people, I would have went out and I would have done this thing on my own, and they would have never felt any kind of way, because that's just the type of people they are. Amazing people. They would have never questioned it. But me as a human being, just as a man, I was like, nah, I can't do it, man. I can't do it. So I literally go there one day and I sit down with him. I said, look, I showed him in my phone. I've had this thing in my notes, has a date on it. It's been there forever, man. And I said, look, I just want you straight up. Look, this has been written down forever, long before I knew you. And now the opportunity came, and for whatever reason, man, I feel like it's the right thing to do. Do it with you. Yeah. And he was like, wow, bro. He was like all in. When do we start? He was all about it. So to me, it's one of those things, man. God's timing, on everything, and God will put the right people, the right time, the right place. And this felt right, and we're gonna do our first one together here, and I think we'll open sometime either in December or maybe after the holidays, worst case.
Soon.
Yeah, very soon.
Yo,
very soon.
Be there.
Fresh pasta, man. You guys are gonna love it. Everything made from scratch. I mean, it's gonna be
cool.
top notch for sure.
Oh, yeah, I love pasta.
Can't wait. I can't wait to get back there and whip it up.
Are you gonna do like seafood with like clams and stuff like that?
I don't know that we'll definitely have shrimp for sure.
Shrimp, yeah.
It's gonna be still a fast casual type concept. Everything fresh, cooked to order. You're gonna be able to see the cooks back there making it.
Yeah.
There's a seating area, a little counter where you'll be able to see those guys. Super cool. But yeah, I mean, we'll definitely have specials that will incorporate
cool.
the seafood, the clams, the oysters, the
oysters. That's what I want to try. I want to try it with that oysters and like lime or lemon on it.
Like seafood pasta?
Yeah, like a seafood pasta. That's what I want to try. I've never had it, but it's so fire.
Gas, bro.
Oh yeah, we definitely gotta have like a
white wine sauce,
clam sauce, things of that nature. Yeah, for sure, no doubt about it.
Cool.
Do you plan on going west?
Man,
whatever God gives you, right?
Wherever God takes us, man. Honest to God, that's the way I live my life. Wherever God takes us, if He opens an opportunity, I'm cool with it. If God closes the door, I'm cool with it. If He shuts the whole thing down, I'm cool with it. Like I literally, I'm just His vessel, man. Do what you want with me, and I pray. Obviously, I'm a human being, right? So I pray that He doesn't have some crazy, Job story for me.
Yeah.
But if it is, if that's what it takes, that's what it takes.
Nah, I admire that level of faith. It's easier said than done.
It is.
But you've already kind of lived it with the high and the low and the,
I go with the punches with him. What he wants to do.
Yeah. You talk about how God puts it in there. Like God always, I feel like He gives everybody something, a door, right?
Yep.
But then it's up to the person to put in the work. It's not just going to be handed out, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of people struggle with that. A lot of people feel like they're entitled to it, and I think that's where the lows come. And I mean, I need to work on that myself. Where there's always doors open up, and I'm hesitant to take them. You start getting analysis paralysis. You get stuck, and you're like, I don't know. There's too many things that could lead to problems. For sure. So,
for sure.
Do you think a lot of it has to do with emotion?
With what?
Yeah.
Emotion.
Yeah.
Because, I don't know. I'm assuming whenever you get all these investors trying to come up to you, you get excited, right? You try to cut that off.
Extremely excited, and I have a rule where I will never make a decision that day ever. Yeah, I'm gonna sit back. I'm gonna think about it. I'm gonna pray about it, and then if it's a no, it's a no. I've said no to opportunities where I know could have been life changing, but just at that particular moment in time, it wasn't what God was asking me to do. I wanted to do it, but God was like, nope, don't do it. And and there's other times where God has told me no, and I've said yes, and I've learned a lesson the hard way. It happens all the time. So.
And you talked about how there was a shift in people almost after COVID, where attitudes and patience started becoming crazy. How do you feel about kind of what the position the world's at? People losing their patience, people it's a very big shift in the world. I mean,
Yeah.
how has that affected your business and how do you overcome that?
In a lot of ways, I have a lot of thoughts on that because we thought that COVID was the worst part of the situation, but it really wasn't. It was the aftermath of COVID really that continues to be a problem. Yeah, you see some of the ugly for sure. We've seen some of the ugly side of people in this business. You see it, anything from people losing their patience and cursing out a teenage girl at the drive-thru because she made a simple mistake of forgetting a sauce in your thing. Like really,
Wild.
your
Or the
entire
beans.
world collapsed over somebody forgetting a sauce.
Knowing you, I know that kills you.
Good, but dang,
Yeah,
like,
knowing you, I know that like if you were to be in front of that girl when that happens,
it's a problem.
yeah, it's a big
Man.
problem.
It really is a problem, man, because God built me that way, man.
Exactly.
At the end of the day, and I'm gonna stand up for injustice anywhere. I don't care. So, I empower my management team, my leadership team to tell those people that we're just not the right fit for each other. If they're gonna come with that type of attitude, just I appreciate your business, but take it somewhere else. So yeah, we've had those type of situations, and then with everything else that's going on, the aftermath of COVID, the inflation, and everything that we've had to deal with from a business standpoint, people will have no idea. Like I remember getting a message once from a guy in the middle of when prices just went through the roof, man. I mean, and we're holding on to our prices, man. It takes a lot for us to try to increase a price, man. It's something that takes a lot of thought and care. You don't want to do it. And I had a guy reach out to me, and he was getting his chicken from us forever, man. And he's upset. I actually got a 1-star review from another guy. I don't want to give that guy too much.
Exactly what you're talking about.
He apologized and he was cool, but I had to kind of let him understand, like, dude, listen, I've been selling you this chicken at the price and taking a loss. Every time you order it, I'm taking a loss. And you're going to go and write a 1-star review for me, man?
Right.
Nah, man. That day,
that whole time he was eating, no good review. That one time a bad experience comes.
Exactly. Like, come on. No, but the inflation part of it, man, has people, tripping hard.
Yeah.
I mean, they really have been. And it's like, guys, you have no idea. We are not making money, okay? Literally for 6 to 8 months, we were not making money. We were losing money, right? And at the same time, we're not cutting hours because we understand that our team has bills to pay. They have kids. And you know what? I took the brunt of it, man. We lost a lot of money during that time period. There was a time where the chicken went up $1. We do 1 million pounds of chicken a year, right? What is that? That's $1 million more in your chicken, right? We just took the loss, man. We were literally just taking the loss. We increased it slightly, and people were flipping out about it. I'm like, do you have any idea that we're just sitting here losing money every time we sell you a bowl? Yeah. I appreciate you guys coming, and we're playing the long game. We pray that it's going to level out, and we'll make it back up later. That's the part of business, man. That's really the lesson of business, man. You got to be prepared for the highs and the lows, man. Things could be rolling smooth, and you're making money. I mean, in the initial part of COVID, we made money. Yeah. We were great. We were busier than ever. Yeah, but because we were built for it. We were slammed.
Drive-throughs.
Yeah, dude, we were slammed, man. Yeah. And but that's the highs and lows of business, man. You got to be prepared for those ebb and flows.
It's crazy because like whenever you order something, like let's say it's like $7.97, and then it goes up to $8.03. You're like, dang, this is so much. I'm not paying for this. And it's really just a couple cents.
Yeah, I guarantee you that slight adjustment that business owner made is not even covering the cost that he had when he's inherited. I mean, not even close, man.
Just a little help. Just a little bit.
I made a lot more money selling bowls at $5 back in the day, $5.25, than I do selling them at $8 something. Straight up. That's the reality. A lot of consumers don't know that. But you would think they would.
Yeah. Because especially for your bowls, because your bowls are always pretty well filled up.
Yeah.
You go somewhere like.
Guys don't skip on the chicken. That's why I like it.
You go somewhere like Chipotle. I'm paying $15, $16 for a.
Yeah. No, they have a full spoon.
It's crazy.
All right, that was
crazy.
Yeah. And that's the thing. Like we've had people tell us, well, why don't you just lower the portion instead of raising? I'm like, no. I'm not doing that. That's what people have always said from us. That's what we're keeping. We're doing that same amount.
Yeah.
It's a constant struggle, man.
Definitely.
We're coming right about like at an hour. So I think I wanted to ask you, if you were to start your business right now, or like let's say everything's gone again, you're back in Miami, you have the decision to start your business or continue to work for that guy again. Well, like how would you start your business?
How would I start it?
But knowing the knowledge that you have right now, how would you start it?
I would not change a single thing, man. Honest to God, I would not change a single thing. I would want the foreclosures. I would want the cars repoed. I would want my 800 plus credit score going down to a 300.
The journey makes the man.
It really does. And for me, I think that there's a possibility that I might have lost myself, man. There's no guarantees there, but there's also no guarantees that I wouldn't have lost myself, man. And I just never want to live a life that takes away from God, that points back to me, that I sit ever in a situation and say, look what I did, and pat myself on the back, man. Nah, I needed that journey. I needed it to be exactly the way he wrote it, and I needed to always be able to say, it was you, 100%.
Yeah, that's why I kind of like envy people that like didn't grow up in like a Christian household, because they value their faith on like a different level.
Oh, yeah.
And I mean, like, I could say, like, anybody could say, well, you could have that same faith, and I can, I got to work on it. Yeah. But it's just like, it's like, because like when I see it with Carlos, when I see it with Dom, because like I talk to him as well, like they value it, like it's, I would say you value it. Yeah. It means something, it's something different. But when you're kind of born into it, it's just kind of like, comes back to that entitlement part, like, yeah, man, it's just normal.
But I'll give you a different perspective on that. It took a guy like you that was born to it to reach a guy that wasn't.
Exactly. We always talk about that. We always talk about that.
Real talk.
You know,
I mean, it took a person that one way or another got there first to reach out to everyone else.
Exactly.
Hey, man, like I just told him, like, because I didn't, like, I grew up in a Christian household, but it was kind of Christian by name. It wasn't like a really faith driven.
Yeah.
Like we didn't really practice it too much. Yeah. But like when I go to like tell him or like tell D or tell Dom or just anybody else, it was just kind of like, I always say it's like, because I kind of wish somebody took that time with me.
Right.
Because I kind of had to learn through like the hard way. Yeah. Like just getting kicked over and over and over, like emotionally, spiritually. Yep. So it was just like, I want to kind of like, well, not only like God commands us to do that, he commands us, spread my word, 100%. But also like, I wish somebody had that patience and love, Right. Because God had it with me, so I got to do it for others.
Every day he has it with us, man. That's the beauty of who he is and why he's different from all of us, man. I mean, that level of patience, that grace, that mercy is only one person can have it,
Yeah.
So since we're about to end it up, I got one question for you. Yes. So I know me and D always talk about this, and you're from Miami. Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Kids our age, for some reason, want to move to Miami. Like for me, it's like there's more opportunity. I feel like their environment there would push me to do better, because I'm like, if I really move there, I'm really probably at the bottom, right? Because there's so much competition. Yeah. Have you ever thought about moving back to Miami?
I don't know that I could ever leave Greenville fully, because this place has blessed me so much, and spiritually I know this is where I need to be. But I absolutely love Miami, man. Yeah. I'm there, like I said, minimum once a month. Yeah. I'm there. There's something about it. It's really a magical place. For me, it's nostalgic because I get to go back and now do things that were unattainable for me. Yeah. So, I was born in Little Havana, and Brickell was separated by a railroad track. I wasn't allowed on the other side of that railroad track. Wow. I was not allowed there. Wow. I spend a lot of my time there now. So there was something that happened one day. We stayed in a really nice hotel, and it was like kind of the first time that we stayed in a nice place, going back home. And the bellman, young kid, probably your guys' age, and apparently we had the best room in the place. I had no idea, but we had the best room in the place. Like, so he saw, what room? He looks and he's like, man, you have the best. This is my favorite freaking room in the whole building, and I can't wait for you to see it. He's telling me. So he's like, where you from? I'm like, man, I'm from right here, man, right across that railroad track. That's where I'm from. And it's just one of those things with God, man. He's like, man, it's my dream to be able to stay in this place one day. That was his dream. He wanted to stay in that unit one day. And, I go up, we get to the thing, right? And the first thing I do is go out to the balcony, right? It was so freaking cool, man. I look over, and what are the chances God puts me with that kid in that specific unit with a view of the roof where we grew up, bro. Where we grew up, it was still there, man. It's one of the few standing, it's a fourplex. It's one of the few still standing, bro. And I took this kid outside. I said, hold up, man, come here, man. So you see that ugly roof over there, bro? Surrounded by multi-million-dollar everything. So you see that ugly roof right there, bro? That's where I'm from, bro. And I told him, if I can do it, you can do it, bro. There's nothing special about me, bro. Wow. If I can do it, you can do it. And that kid was like, man, he was taken back, man. And, we had some conversation, and it was awesome, man. It was just God's little gifts, man, that he gives us throughout life, man.
Wow. What do you recommend? Because I know you said there's a lot of pressure in Miami.
Yeah.
And what do you recommend somebody kind of our age, 20, 21 years old, to make a move like that?
That's a tough one, man. That's a really tough one. It obviously depends on what kind of business, where you see yourself in life. For this type of environment, like what you guys are creating here with this podcast and everything, I think it's an incredible opportunity out there. There's obviously going to be people doing it, but at the end of the day, you guys already show the ability to get out. You're not afraid to talk to people. You have that personality about yourselves. So, you know, for this type of business, I think it would be phenomenal, because you're going to get out there and you're going to get exposed to so many different people. You're going to get 1,000 no's and one yes, but that one yes is going to be worth a lot.
Yeah.
You know, so from that standpoint, I think it's a great place to hone your skills for sure. It'll be challenging. Yeah, it'll be challenging, man. You can get an apartment smaller than this in Miami for $1,500. You know, so yeah, you know, so the cost of living, everything is dramatically different. Dramatically different. So,
Definitely.
But
that's cool. I like that answer. I like that answer.
Pray about it.
Yeah, for sure. That will happen. Anybody else got any?
Nah, you?
I got a little can you give us a little backstory on that? There's I know you guys can't see it, but he has a little DJ booth.
Yeah, man. I've always loved the music, man. We grew up partying, man. Like literally every club in Miami to this day, we still go out there and we party, man. It's something where we just enjoy it, man. We love it, and it's something that we grew up doing, right? So going out to clubs and having a good time, and I just always loved music, man. And one day I started playing around with that. I never realized how much I loved that part of it, like the DJing part, man. That is just so satisfying, man. It's an adrenaline rush that it's hard to explain, and it's humbling at the same time, because you could be in the middle of, you know, I've done little parties and stuff in the house or with people, and all of a sudden you screw up and you're like, you freak out, but it's humbling. But it's once you start to learn it, it's also, you know, very satisfying and rewarding. So just great. Something I do for fun.
I mean, I think that's important, you know. Builds character.
Yeah, it's fun.
It's good to have hobbies and stuff.
It allows you to kind of free your mind for a little while. That's what it does for me. Mm-hmm. So in the middle of a chaos of a party, I love to be back there. Everybody's doing their thing, and I'm just back there, and I'm just worried about the next song.
So that's your quarter mile?
Yeah. Oh yeah, 100%. I love it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm not very good at it, but
all right,
I'm learning.
All right, one final question for me. I thought I had to get some random fact about you out.
We're gonna have to do a part 2.
Definitely. Who's your most famous contact?
Oh, that's a good one.
That was a good question. That was a good question.
All right, so I'll say I grew up with Pitbull. We went we went to school together. We went to junior high together. We went to high school together. Still a relationship that I have to this day, and more than anything, even if it was outside of a relationship, I'm blessed to have a relationship with him, because he's, you know, in just little conversations that we've had that are very, very uplifting. But just as an individual, because I know him personally, because we grew up in the same street, in the same environment, with the same circumstances, just seeing him reach the level that he's reached, and he's not even close to finish. This guy is literally behind. Forget the music, man. What this guy's doing in business is freaking incredible. I mean, this guy is he's not even touched the tip of the iceberg of where he's headed. But for me, he's been a huge inspiration, because, again, he's from my neighborhood. You know, we grew up the same thing. Yeah, man. And that guy right there, man, when the whole cliches about work hard and nothing given, everything earned, man, he's the quintessential guy for that, man. That guy has worked harder than anybody, and he continues to work harder than anybody. I mean, hard work, all that, that's him, 100%. There was times where he kind of switched up his style, because he was a rapper, hardcore rapper that would lyrically could get with anybody. And then one day he just completely shifted and went with this kind of a more urban pop type music that he does now. Very strategic, okay? Very smart guy. And there was a lot of people that were counting him out when he made that shift. All of a sudden he goes from cornrows and baggy pants and, you know, to suits and things. And everybody, what is this guy doing? In the middle of this transition where hip-hop was on fire, and it's like, what is this guy doing? Is he crazy? A lot of people counted him out, man. I said, listen, I don't know this man. This man is the hardest working man I know, and you cannot count him out. And, you know, he went, people were watching, waiting for him to fall. There was a lot of people watching and hoping that he would fall. And that dude
got nothing better to do with their time.
Everybody, yeah. The haters were lined up for this man. Yeah. Lined up. But listen, he proved everybody wrong and then some. And he's still, I mean, the things he's going to do and his mindset and just a lot of his outlook in life, man, is just, it's inspiring. And, you know, I've learned a lot from him for sure. No
so that's the one. That's the one, definitely.
That's a really
crazy.
big one.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah. That's crazy.
Laz, I really appreciate you for having us at your house. We're at the Beverly Hills of Greenville, South Carolina. So
Definitely.
This place is beautiful, man. Like when I was coming up, like, so he gave me like pretty much all I saw from the picture was just like the kind of like the what's that shed? It's bigger than a shed. Whatever that building is. Yeah. And I'm turning in. I'm like, okay, I'm expecting this. This guy got money, but like going actually up the driveway, seeing the cars, the house. I'm like,
man, can I tell y'all something?
What's that?
Yeah. I'm honored to be here, man.
Man, honor's mine, man. I'm definitely grateful for you guys and just enjoy just speaking with you guys. It's been awesome. Yeah. But one thing I could leave you with, man, you have no idea. Long before I even imagined being able to afford this place or live in this neighborhood, in this area, man, I drove this neighborhood more times than I can tell you, man. Me and my wife would drive this in the middle of the night. I don't know how we didn't get the cops called on us 20 times, but we would just drive and like in awe, like, man, who lives here? What is this? This place is gorgeous. Like you drive through all these neighborhoods back here, and it's just the space, the little bit of extra land and everything, man. We would drive through here and say, one day we're gonna live here. One day we're gonna live here. And even when we did it, we were really, truly, even then, outside of our means. But God provided a way. Very, some things had to work in our favor, and we had to have the right realtor, the right homeowner that worked with us. And, we were really looking at a house down right behind here, and it was significantly smaller, still beautiful, and that was like our hopes and aspirations were that. But God said, no, I have something better for you. And he gave us this place, man, and man, I'll tell you, you pray about things, man, and there's certain things. At the end of the day, I pray for things, right? Anything I pray for in life, I'm going to pray, this is what I want, right? But I'm always going to finish, but God, let your will be done. Let your will be done, not mine, because ultimately you know better. And I accept whatever your will is 100% of the time. So.
Definitely.
That's crazy.
I think that's a good ending spot right there.
Yeah.
Left you some wisdom. Anybody could do it. I think you're, 42, 43?
41.
41.
Putting
on
me, bro.
That's crazy. That's just respect.
Every year's a blessing, man.
Yeah, I mean, so he's young still, got a lot of life. So, yeah, man, we'll definitely have a part 2, but I appreciate everybody for watching. Laz the man. Yeah.
All right. Peace, guys.